Best.
You are listening to an exclusive on Pod Hub Network. Your city, your podcast.
To the delight of this crowd, McClendon marches down the dugout steps with first base. McCutcheon's throw. The runner breaks to the plate. Here's the throw. Wow. He is out. The Buccos win.
That ball's hit well to left center field. Back toward the track. And that ball is gone.
You are listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live every Thursday on Twitch and help support by becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
Yo, welcome to NS9 Live. I am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Jim and Tyler. Everybody, happy Thursday. Happy, actually, I can't say anything yet. The Pirates haven't ended the game yet, so we don't know. Happy life.
This is our last NS9 Live until the regular season.
It's pretty big stuff.
You realize when we do this next week, it'll be right after opening day.
It will. 220 games.
That's pretty sweet.
Against Chicago. So unfortunately, it's not going to be right after the game, but we will have a day game, and then, we'll have our first NS9 Live of the season.
I'm sure there won't be any overreactions.
If we win,
why would they?
We're going. If we win, we're going to the ship.
I mean, obviously, we have Adam Frazier and our boy Kevin Newman, both batting 600 and 700, right? Leading the way.
You
Brian
saw
Hayes.
Gregory Polanco's shirtless picture. He's going to hit 800 this year.
There you go. Right? Because he won't get traded to the White Sox. They don't have enough value to bring over for Gregory Polanco. So. Yeah, it's championship all the way.
White Sox couldn't afford him. Yeah, White Sox couldn't afford him.
Exactly.
Chicago small market.
They had to take the cheaper Cespedes. Anyways, so again, last NS9 Live of the off season. We definitely got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We are going to get into our final half of the over and under segment, where we go ahead and talk about the NL. I was going to say NL Central. It's all the NL teams. We go over the NL teams to give our picks on the over and unders of their wins. And then we are going to talk about the lack of a good Brian Hayes extension. And then tonight we'll also talk about some nutting.
What are we, rum butter?
So with that said, let's, I guess, get into it. Yes, everyone. So what do we want to start with?
Can we start with Bucko Mike's tweet from 5 minutes ago?
Yes. Let's do it.
Did you see it? Have you seen it?
I
don't even know. I don't even know if I want to read it on air, to be honest with you.
So it's a typical Bucko Mike tweet.
It's a typical Bucko Mike tweet. Yeah.
Is it rated PG-13?
Jesus.
Wait, and it's continued.
That's one of two.
I feel like we could say it. Maybe censor some words, but they'll know what it means.
Want me to read it?
Tyler, you read it. Everyone hates you already.
Yeah, Tyler can read it. Yeah.
There's guys with pubes on their face. They need a man whacker to trim off that ish. It looks like an armpit on their face. Their woman thought they were creepers and sprayed them with mace. DiNardo and Rosati, shave that ish off your face. Ah, come on. Continued.
Second
verse. Don't let it rock. Don't let it roll. DiNardo and Rosati, shave that hairy butthole off your face and save your soul. You just need to trim that pubes off face. Ah, come on. Clap sounds on beat.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty good.
I didn't realize it rhymed until halfway through. It
rhymed and everything. Yeah, I wonder how long that took for him to come up with, or if he's just that naturally gifted.
Oh, I'm sure he's been working on that for months. Gifted. He's been in the lab with his pen and his pen.
With his pen and his pen.
Eating his mom's spaghetti. So thanks, Bucko Mike.
That's great.
So now now we're past that. What do we want to talk about tonight? I feel like we should do you want to do the nutting first or Brian Hayes?
Spend nutting, win nutting.
Let's talk about Hayes.
All right. So basically, I guess we can start off. John Heyman put out a tweet. It was confirmed by multiple people that the Pirates, now this is their second go around, right? They attempted last year. So their second go around, the Pirates did attempt to lock up Brian Hayes in a long-term deal. Two sides are far apart. No deal is coming together. So Brian Hayes is still not signed long-term. All right, so where do we want to go with this first? Because I feel like we all have multiple levels. Do we want to get cynical first, or we just want to say what it is first?
I guess
put a reaction out to the report of a possible extension.
So I think obviously it's no secret the Pirates have been trying to do this. I think Alex Stumpf sent something out a few months ago saying that they were working on trying to work on something. And we also know that last year they also approached Hayes with an extension, and that never turned into anything. So it sounds like it's a thing the Pirates are trying to do. I would imagine they're maybe trying to buy out one or two free agent years for some extra money up front. Hayes is clearly in a position right now of strength, I think, especially with how he's playing.
With that 2020 season and this spring?
With the 2020 season, the way he's hitting right now, if he can carry that over and have a good 2021 year, then he's bound to, even command more money for an extension next offseason. So, if I'm Hayes and, my dad's an ex-major leaguer and my family's got millions of dollars in the bank, maybe bet on yourself for a year and, next year the offer's bigger. So I think it makes sense on both to try to get something done. But, somebody like Hayes is probably in a little bit different position than someone like, Starling Marte or Gregory Polanco, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I agree with the idea. And I think I agree with Hayes on, maybe waiting a year.
Right. Tyler?
This is so stupid to even talk about. Of course, they're going to go after an extension with him. He's going to go to arbitration. They're going to trade him 2 years in. And even if he does sign it, they're going to trade him before he ends up at the option year. So even getting excited over this is just stupid.
Well, I don't think it would be stupid if he signs the extension, get excited about it in a sense, but I'm with Jim, and I feel like we had this talk maybe about 2 or 3 months ago. It might have been longer than that. We were talking about people who might be extension, like the next guy to get an extension. I see Jim laughing. Yes, I see Bucko Mike's comments. Jack and Diana remix of DiNardo and Rosati. So it's like a couple things here. To Tyler's point, this is absolutely true. What team isn't trying to sign their young stars? And if you're not trying to sign your best young player, then what are you doing as a team right now? All the financial structure is in favor of the owners and the organizations, right? These players are paid pennies at this point in time in their career. So the owners are like, well, hey, how's this? We'll give you this little carrot. We'll dangle this guaranteed money for you. But the thing is, it's not much at all. Like, look at the Kutch deal. I mean, like $50 million over that time. Like, are you kidding me? This MVP player, like Starling Marte, was like what, 36 million. So like the guys that are signing this, it somewhat makes sense to them because, like you mentioned, like Kutch, Marte, like think about the Acuna deal, how terrible that was. Some of these guys need money, and that $100 million is life changing regardless. Acuna could use it, so he signs it. But like to Jim's degree, I never really felt that Brian Hayes would probably sign one because it is the Pirates, and this isn't just a bash in the Pirates. This is literally every MLB organization. They're going to try to undersell you. Like they're going to try to give you this cheap hometown discount because you're not making any money. So here's a cheap deal. Go ahead and sign it. It's guaranteed. But like in Brian Hayes' situation, he probably does. I'm not trying to get in this man's business and his money, but he probably doesn't need it. Like Jim said, like his dad was a major leaguer. Is he hurting for money right now? Does he need to survive by getting a couple $1 million right now and forfeit lots of $1 million later? No, I don't really see it happening unless the Pirates are willing to actually shell out a decent extension offer.
Yeah, it probably starts at $100 million, I would think, for him to sign anything.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, because you got to remember, that like
a lot of years too.
Yeah, you got to remember his first
I think
3
you're
years.
looking at, what are you looking at? 8 years probably.
Well, you got to remember his first 3 years without an extension, he's making $1.5 million over a 3-year span, right? So, and we're talking arbitration years. Players still don't make a ton of money in arbitration. So even those arbitration years, 30, 35 million tops probably. And then, maybe you add in a year or two. So I think, you're probably looking at something like a 7-year, $80 million deal. That would be my guess on what something like this would look like. And that's even on a really high end. I don't even know it'd be that high.
Yeah.
I think it would be.
Well, I'll put it this way. Tyler said 8 for 100. That's really not too egregious either. I just don't know if you're going 8 years. I mean, you might as well sign a lifetime contract right now, Like that's going to put him in free agency at 33?
Yeah, he's not Acuna coming up at 19, 20.
Well, that's part of it, right? So it's like I feel like 8 might be too long. Like he probably doesn't want 8, but 8 for 100 isn't totally terrible. Understanding he's probably going to be able to sign a $20 million contract for that year, at that point in time. So I feel like like Jim, maybe more towards a 7-year-ish, 80. That's not too bad. I mean, would Brian Hayes accept that? That's something to think about. Right. What do we think the odds are that they offered like 750?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't. It's hard to really say anything about this without knowing what the offer was. It would be cool if that was leaked out. I don't know if either side would do that, but that would be nice if that was like actually leaked and we could see what the offer was.
They probably asked him if he wants an extension and then leaked it that they offered. Just to get the goodwill.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is more on the Pirate side. Like Brian Hayes probably has no reason to leak this, right? It's not going to benefit him.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Pirates probably leaked it.
This is definitely a Pirates leak. Yeah.
They need that good PR. About to start the season, only allowing 20% of the fans in the stands. There's not going to be any fans in the stands anyways.
Right.
Got to start this new regime off right. So let's go ahead and leak that we're trying to sign Brian Hayes long term.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened here. Because now all the fans are saying, "Oh, at least they're trying." There's people writing. It's a good thing that this is a step in the right direction that they offered a contract. And I mean, again, this is an easy decision. It's not. This is something they should be doing.
We got to bring that up.
Doing this, they're more incompetent than we all thought.
So yeah, to get into that, like I just felt there was such an. We all did. I know I'm speaking for all of us here. There was such an overreaction to this. I didn't understand it. So almost like immediately there was things popping off. Oh my God, this is awesome, guys. Look at this. Like, the Pirates are trying to extend Brian Hayes. And yeah, Tyler, you hit it in your head. If you aren't, you're the most
Duh.
incompetent organization there is right now. Like, this shouldn't be amazing, exciting news that there's talks. I mean, let's break it down. We're getting excited that they failed to extend Brian Hayes. I mean, essentially, right?
Right.
That's
right.
what we're
I mean,
excited.
yeah,
Like,
right,
are we
yeah.
so down this rabbit hole? Jim talked about it. We were talking about these contract extensions with, Sal Perez. Like, is it so ingrained in our head as Pirates fans to think a certain way that, like, we're seriously getting excited at an attempt of trying to spend money? Like, we almost spent money, guys. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Let's go read an article about
it's something where, this was a no-brainer, I think, on the Pirates' part. Again, it would have been cool to actually see something get done, right? But that didn't happen, and probably next year, I could see it happening next year, but it's gonna cost them more money next year. So,
Hey, maybe it's a
Potentially.
down year.
And that's why I'm sure the Pirates are trying to do it now. And they're trying to get that cheap deal because it's only going to get more. They're trying to entice him to sign it.
Bucko Mike
Ty.
brings up Quinn Priester as somebody who, if he gets off to a hot start, is he somebody? My only thing with pitchers is a little bit different, just because they're so unreliable from an arm injury standpoint. Like, Quinn Priester, power pitcher, hasn't had Tommy John surgery yet. So, like, it's almost not a matter of, like, if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen at this point. Most pitchers, it just ends up happening at some point. So pitchers, I'm still a little leery on giving those deals to, unless you can get them for, like, really, really nice deals. Like that Tyone deal was pretty nice. So I don't know. I don't know if that's something they do or not, unless you can get them at a really good discount.
Right.
Like Snell.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Even Snell, though, that was after.
Right.
Wasn't that even after his Cy Young year?
It was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you signed that.
Because it's 2 years back, right? Yeah, I was going to
Yeah, I
joke.
think
Yeah,
that's right.
Blake Snell. And then he's still not there. Speaking of trades and Jim's thoughts over here about small markets, like he signs that really, really team friendly deal, and the Rays were still like, nope, we're good. Here you go,
Right.
San Diego.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think that you could talk about it, but it's going to have to be really team friendly, I think, in order to give a long-term deal to a pitcher like that.
Yeah. That's fair. And I don't think, like you said, to your point, you don't see too many pitchers sign them. You see more of hitters getting those type of deals. Ty.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if you're going to sign them, you don't sign them before they're in the majors anyhow. Especially because, problem is once they're in the majors, in their arbitration, and they haven't signed a deal, they have Tommy John, you lose a year of that service time. So that hurts. No matter what, you're kind of screwed with them. So there's no point in buying out anything. By the time they get to their 6th, 7th year, they're either going after a mega deal or they're about to be heading to the bullpen.
That's fair. I mean,
it's true. Yeah.
There's a chance to get a Garrett Cole, but then there's a chance you get all these other pitchers who flame out, or like you said, it's hard. I mean, obviously, we're talking about Jimenez today going out for the season. It's hard for like pitchers to stay healthy. Like a lot of times, like you mentioned, Jim, Tyler, they get Tommy John. It's going to be a when situation, not if. So they're out for a year at some point in time. Whereas like for a hitter, for the most part, they're there on the field, unless your name's Gregory Polanco. So, it's almost like you said, like you're going to lose a year at some point, probably if that in that extension. So, is the value truly there? Just write them out and re-up on more pitchers. That's why you can never have enough arms. Always re-up on arms.
And they're probably going to be about 30 and at the end of it by that point anyhow.
Yeah. So Brian Hayes doesn't get an extension. I assume that means talks are off the way this was leaked. I don't know if they're still ongoing, but even if they are, it did say that they are far apart. That tells me they're probably not coming close anytime soon. So re-up next year and see what happens. But I mean, Jim already booked it. He's going to be over 5 WAR this year. So Only
If,
going up.
If that happens, Pirates are gonna have to pony up.
It might be 8,150 at that point.
Right.
It ain't getting done at that point.
Right, exactly.
That's a good call. It's like the only thing the Pirates have going for them is there's a guy that's not his agent yet.
Hurnley, good point here. I think we're more likely to see a Reynolds extension if he has a bounce back year, and I could actually see that. Like if Reynolds has a bounce back year, you could probably sign Reynolds to a pretty team friendly deal. So that I could potentially see that happening.
Why do you think?
Like
I just
6
want your
for 24.
Why do you think he might be open to an extension?
Just because of maybe the inconsistency. If the Pirates are able to guarantee him a certain amount of money, and then maybe it's gonna be too much for him to pass up. He's also still has, let's see how many more. He's a Super 2 guy, so that is playing into his hands, and that he will actually be arbitration eligible after this year.
Yeah,
so
2020 free agent in 26.
So he does have 4 years of arbitration. So I mean, maybe the Pirates want to buy out those 4 years with some cost certainty, and maybe buy out one more year. I don't know. I could see it. I mean, there's still positives on accepting the deal if you're a player because it's all guaranteed money.
Right.
It's just one of those things where if he bounces back and has a decent year, and you can get him locked up for a certain amount of time, then maybe I could see it happen. His age, I mean, he's still up. He is 26 now, so
I don't even know where you even start talks with him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're talking a huge deal or anything like that, but
you're probably just looking at cost.
I could see it. Yeah, I think for him it'd be more like a cost certainty thing.
Like 6 years, 30 to 40 million is about all I'd do.
Right. Yeah, I'm not thinking anything like out of that's crazy or anything, but the 4 years of arbitration, maybe just kind of getting those out of the way already and not having to deal with it. I could see him possibly doing it.
So, and Tyler follows up with it and says that, he's steady, not a superstar. As Jim says, cost certainty is important to the team. And that's what I feel too. Like, I think he would be inclined to do it just for the fact too, like his pedigree. Like, we're not talking about Brian Hayes, where Brian Hayes has been, one of the top guys in the farm system, and they had this huge monster impact in his first year, albeit very minimal games. But like, he's on this really good pace, and now he's like a top 10 prospect in baseball. Reynolds was never that. He's coming off a really bad season. So it's almost like Jim said, like I could feel he would be inclined to do it as well just because it's there. It's guaranteed. I'm set. He's not going to be the cut. He's not going to come out of this probably, arbitration years and such and then go into free agency and sign some bigger contract. Like he might look and say, okay, if I can get $40 million, I get $40 million and I'm good.
Yeah. He's not looking at much arbitration wise, I don't imagine either. He goes to arbitration for the first time next year.
Yeah, this offseason.
I mean, what are you looking at? 3-4 million?
Yeah.
Depending on how this
year does.
Right.
So
man,
maybe you go.
That 2020 is going to hurt so many people in arbitration.
Right. You go 6 years, 35 to 40 million. And even then, I might be iffy on the Pirates side of even if I want to do that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just what kind of impact 2020 has. I mean, because it was such a weird year for so many people. I mean, there's a lot of people who just did not play well. Yeah, I don't know how that'll affect him. I mean, if he comes back this year and does like what he did his rookie year, then you can just kind of chalk that year up, I think, as that was weird.
It all did fly over my head. What did they do about the service time last year?
Completely prorated. So
okay.
So like Brian Hayes last year actually got like 80 days.
I couldn't remember exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Well, with the MLB, you don't know if they haven't decided yet half the time.
Right, that's true. They could announce some next week. Yes, so Hayes got 75 days of service time last year. And then like somebody like Reynolds obviously got a full year.
Okay.
which is another kind of a damper on the Pirates' rebuilding efforts because they have all these guys, under team control for a certain amount of time, and they only got 60 games out of them last year.
Right.
Thankfully, not many of
but
those guys are
again,
very
it could
good.
help them because now Reynolds goes into arbitration with his terrible year. Right now, Kevin Newman goes into arbitration with his terrible year. 38-year-old Jacob Stallings goes to arbitration with actually
Kevin
a decent
Stallings.
year.
Yeah,
Tyler called him
I
Kevin
guess
last
we'll
week
see.
too, I feel.
I think we've all called him Kevin at some point.
Right.
I've tweeted in all caps like Kevin Stallings before. So yeah.
Sorry, Jacob. Nothing against you, but your dad's left a lasting impression in the town of Pittsburgh.
That he did.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it pretty much wraps up the news there about Cabrine. Again, I'm not so sure what the overreaction and like the super. I mean, I get like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like they try to, but like there were just some people that were just like super, super, super excited, going crazy, like all caps Kevin Stallings type crazy. All caps. Cabrine Hayes was offered an extension. This is amazing.
Charlie Hayes.
Charlie Hayes was offered an extension. So let's just temper it. Like, okay, they should have, and he declined it, and they're very far apart. So next, speaking of next, so Jason Mackey put out an article today. He had to sit down with Bob Nutting. They had a little chat. It's pretty open. Hey, I mean, even in the tweet, Bob Nutting cursed. He said half-assed. So a little emotion from Bob Nutting, right? Seems to get fired up here. So let's maybe talk about this article a little bit, what we gained from it. I guess let's just start here. Obviously, he goes to spring every single year. He makes his appearance, right? Every year we pretty much hear the same thing. That was like the old regime. It's the same stuff, regurgitated, same thing. Anything different that you guys got out of this one?
Nope. Same old, another fluff piece. It's
yeah, go ahead. You can finish your thoughts.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same. Prop up the new regime. He did take some shots at the old regime, which was slightly interesting. The big thing, there's parts of it. He's talking about putting the money where Ben wants it to, building a new pitching lab, which I know I complained about this earlier to you guys, but how is that a one thing or another thing? Pitching labs are not expensive to build in the scheme of Major League Baseball. If they didn't already have one, and if you listen to our last interview with Michael McHenry, he says they had one, they just didn't use it. Why is this one thing or another? Why are we working on rebuilding Dominican right now? That should already be built. That's not we can't commit to payroll because we got to rebuild the Dominican Republic. That's the cost of what? Like a replacement level player. These aren't like giant investments. We're not putting $100 million into the Dominican Republic or a pitching lab right now. A pitching lab costs you $25,000.
Like you said, that's a cost of a replacement player. That's the cost of business also. Like that's just that's part of having a baseball team.
Also, you don't have to pay minor leaguers like half your minor league roster anymore. You got rid of half your teams. You're saving money. And I know Jim will get into the BAM portion of everything that we've already heard this regurgitated about how we're investing that money to. It's just same old.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've heard this story from Bob Nutting multiple times. Like, he tells us how much he understands the frustration of the fans. He's frustrated himself. He hates losing. All these things. And, at the end of the day, it still comes down to, okay, you can say all these things, but like, what are you going to do about it? Right. You're in an elite group, right? Where you're an owner of a Major League Baseball franchise. If you want to do something about your frustrations, then I don't know, band together with the other small market teams who probably all have the exact same issues that we have. See if you can change the economics of baseball somehow. Like, you don't actually see that, right? You don't see the small market teams ganging up on the large market teams and actually like having fights, right? It's like this united front where this is how things are and this is how things have always done. This is how we're going to do things. Like, I don't know, start shit if you're really that upset about how things are going. You have a competitive disadvantage against, you know, half of the league. Maybe try to do something about that. You're not the only one probably who feels that way. But guess what? It's a system that works for everybody, and everybody gets money, and everybody's making money, and nobody wants to disrupt that system. So, you know, save all your whatever he's saying. I don't want to hear it if you're not actually trying to change something for the better, right? And then it just goes back to, he always says, you know, he's gonna do the things it takes to win when it's the time to win, and I just don't buy it. Like, even in 2015, right? We saw payroll go up to it. We saw it go up to like an all-time high, but we're still out there having to sign reclamation projects on the pitching staff, right? And hoping that Ray Sears can work his magic and turn things around, right? He was able to do it for a few guys. So, you know, who's the next reclamation project going to be that we can get for super cheap? Why not, instead of just not doing that, why don't you just sign a pitcher who's already shown he can do it, right? Like, why didn't we re-sign J.A. Happ, right? I mean, like, stuff like that is what's frustrating. No, you don't sign J.A. Happ. You go out there and you try to find the next J.A. Happ who's going to cost half the amount, right? So it's just that's kind of just, he can say all these things,
which was John
often
Means.
as he wants and as much as he wants, but until he actually does it, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And like you said about 13 through 15, I was going to do what it takes to win whenever the team's in position. You look at 2016. Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes, but Bob Nutting left them no room for error. If Kutch has a down year, Cole has a down year, they were done regardless.
Which
and
is really
on him. He gave them no margin for error.
The issue of 2016 was player performance.
Yeah, but if there was anybody that was down, they were screwed. Mm-hmm. They needed everyone to play at their best again.
Which mostly, I mean, and again, this isn't like to take away from what happened in those years, but because of like what they found, right? The inefficiencies, the ground ball, like the stuff that they did worked. And because it worked, people were overachieving, right? Because it wasn't so much their talent, it was also the system they were put in, what they were doing, designed. So there's a lot of overachieving happening. And right, and like the game has caught up, and now their skill set has caught up to where it should be. And yeah, I get that too. And like, so with the quotes about, well, the quotes with Bob Nutting, I should say today, you know, what I sensed is maybe he is sick of this to a degree, right? Maybe he's a little bit fired up. You know, I was hoodwinked. I was told by Neil this stuff would work, and I was hoodwinked. You know, we should have been good, and we were too stuck in our ways, and you know, it was a lack of this, lack of that. It did seem to me there was a lot of blame being passed on here. I will say it wasn't so much ownership. It was a lot of blame. There's a lot of pointing fingers. Okay, so I was a little turned off about that. Now, what I will say, and which Tyler says in here too, he did mention that he does feel that this new regime is different than the last, and he's liking it. And so far, I think we're on board with that as well. You know, I think we're still optimistically cautious, but everything that they've done so far has seemed like the right move. You know, and now that we've seen like this final product of what this rebuild is, you know, I'm pleased with the farm. I'm pleased with how they're doing it. Talking to the Fort last week, how they're, you know, playing to the strengths and stuff, and like what works best with the players. There's a lot of differences, and Nutting did bring that up as well. And I agree with that. But for someone to say how disappointed he was and how fired up he was to see Garrett Cole pitching and how well he's doing, you know, and Charlie Morton pitching and how well he's doing, and Tyler Glasnow pitching and how well he's doing, right? To see all these guys that were on our team, right, that we clearly didn't develop right, and they're doing all this stuff there, and I was so pissed off. Then why did it take you so long to fire those guys? Like, why did 2019 end and Neil Huntington was still the GM until like in November, wasn't it? Or it was October, I think. They hired him.
It's wild.
It took them a month, basically. Yeah.
So if you were so fired up and so pissed off about the failures of this regime, how did it take you this long to get rid of them? So, like, again, to me, it comes down to, you could be correct. Like, I might actually do feel that Bob Nutting is pissed and he does care about this and does want to have a winner. And he probably did feel good about those seasons where they were winning. And Bob Nutting was the owner of the first Pirates team to do it in how many years, that probably felt good. And then they went down to this path and they're losing and it sucks. And he probably is pissed off. But to me, it just tells me then you're very incompetent. And if you're that proves it. Like, if you're that pissed off about the regime, it took you a month after the season to let them go, and you're starting way behind everyone else searching for their GMs. So where's the ownership on you, Mr. Owner Bob Nutting of the Pittsburgh Pirates? Seems pretty incompetent. So I guess to wrap this up, to Jim's point, that's great talk, but let's see some action.
Yeah, we're not going to see any action until they're ready to be competitive again. And then we got to wait and see if he reinvests again. And if he doesn't this time, then what happens? They rebuild again. And next time, I'm telling you guys, I'm going to invest.
I promise it's this one. This is why it's different.
All right.
That old regime, they made a few mistakes. But this new one, I'm telling you.
And the other thing too, like, to realize is, spending went up in 2014, 2015, but like, how much did revenues go up that year? Like, holy crap. I mean, attendance was through the roof. Like, Pirates had never seen that type of attendance before in their history. It's one of those things where, they were spending more money, but they were also making more money. So like I said, the up in the payroll isn't as, like, I'm not going to be like, kudos, you spent $120 million, right? The Reds do that every freaking year. So so it's one of those things where I just, again, until I see it, I don't really care what he says.
Especially when we're talking about a team that was literally probably one player away all 3 years.
Yeah.
Just maybe an extra 10 million away.
And I think we've nailed it. And I think we're talking to different people as well. We've all pretty much come to the conclusion that, he's just very risk adverse. He doesn't see, like, the difference between him and Mark Cuban isn't so much that Mark Cuban's going to come in here and spend $200 million. The difference is, if Mark Cuban came in here in 2014, 2015, he's going to say, I'm going to invest, right? It's kind of like what Jim's saying, like, it's an investment. I'm going to put money into this because on the other side, there's money to be made. There's attendance, there's revenues, right? So I'm going to go ahead and invest into this, make something of it, where Bob Nutting was more or less like, this is the line, make it work. The other thing, I've lost that train of thought, so go ahead and continue.
The other.
Is Craig here? You lost the train?
Yes. We're on our way to Curve, PA.
But yeah, Jim, you were talking about the BAM money earlier.
Oh, that was it.
His thoughts on.
Go ahead, Jim. I'll let you
talking
go.
About
my thoughts on the BAM money. Did I have thoughts?
Well, how they were supposed to reinvest that into the Dominican.
Oh yeah, I mean, he talks about all this money going into the Dominican, and that's literally his excuse every year when it comes down to his payroll being low. I mean, so it's nothing new. I think the Pirates have had how many grievances filed against them in the last 20 years, right? And every single time it's like, it's like, oh, well, you may not see it reflected in the payroll, but it's being spent in other areas like our Dominican facility, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, the books aren't open. We've no idea what's happening there. Again, it goes back to I have a strong opinion on things like that the team shouldn't have a closed book, right? They're receiving public money from taxpayers in the city of Pittsburgh. We should be able to know where that money's going.
The other fun part of the article was talking about drafting and signability not being an issue. No shit. There's a draft cap now. This isn't
same with same with
2011.
international too. Like international money, like teams can only spend a certain amount of money. Like,
Right.
Duh.
Now, I'll give
I hope
props
signability is not an issue.
to the Pirates. I mean, they were the reason why this is in place, you know, especially with the draft. Like,
Mhm.
so that was one thing they did right. But yeah, like you can't use that as an excuse now. I mean, like you said, Tyler, like, well, that's no one's issue ever. You only have a certain amount of money, and everyone has that money. So yeah, that shouldn't be, signability isn't an issue. You're right. So that is what I want to touch on. Speaking about that, so the financial flexibility. So part of this has been going on for a while now. Part of like 2016, like the Liriano trade, all this was like the financial flexibility for down the road, right? And the team has progressively gotten worse and worse and worse. So
We have so much financial flexibility right now.
so that's part of it, right, Tyler? So this financial flexibility, like how much money they have in this back pocket for this rainy day that's coming? Because we got enough for like a hurricane over here. Like a Cat 5 can come
Donardo.
through. We're saved up.
Let me tell you about the 2023 excuse of COVID-19 where all that rainy day fund went away.
Like the Pirates could not have been
Yeah.
put in a better situation for this. I mean, they had no payroll and they've had like 3 years of financial flexibility saved up. But no, like, so again, the Pirates weren't good in 16, 17. Like I understood it. I got it. But you never really saw that money being like reinvested, which was that excuse. Bam Tech came in. Everyone was running where the money's going. You know, and this is every owner, right? And all the owners pretty much came together and said, like, hey, we built this. We sold it. It's our money. We don't have to invest it in the payroll players. And I think for the most part, we saw that it didn't go into payroll. So albeit it is a big ownership thing, but what the Pirates came out and said, what Bob Nutting came out and said is they rebuilt the Dominican Academy, you know? Now,
How many times is that thing going to get rebuilt?
that's part of it. So we know like they were highly invested in the Dominican way back when they had this pipeline, back when Rene Gaio was in good standings with a lot of people. Like that was a good thing. So the reinvestment, like there wasn't really a product out there on the field to invest into at that point in time. So part of me, like I got it. Like we're going to build this pipeline, but now we are in 2021 and we're talking again about how we're investing in the Dominican and this academy. Like, didn't they just get like $50 million worth of investments like 3 years ago? Can I go and build an academy down there? Because I would like some money. How do I apply for this grant?
I just Google searched Pirates investing in Dominican. February 21st, 2019. Pirates expanding in Dominican Academy. 2008. Pirates investing $4 to $5 million in Dominican Academy. February or July of 2017. Signing guys from Dominican. It's every year.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right.
Here's the other thing too. I want to just kind of mention real quick. So we talk about like just not only the payroll, right? But like how much money has the Pirates franchise made? Like in just overall value, right? I just looked up here. I was curious. In 2012, guess what the Pittsburgh Pirates were worth, according to Forbes?
$360 million.
337.
Ooh. I'm almost like Tyler when it comes to this. I've looked at these Forbes, and between the Pirates and Yankees, I've been diving into these numbers for a while.
Yeah. 337. In 2017, Donardo, what were they worth?
$980 million.
1.3 billion.
Oh. Well, damn. I thought they crossed the billion part after.
I mean, this team grew in value by basically $1 billion over a 5-year span. And what do we see? We see payroll cut into just smithereens. So I'm sorry. I don't believe anything he says, and until he changes, I'm not going to believe a thing he says.
All right.
I mean,
I wanted to say,
money-
I just want to say something to that. And I know whether he's in the chat right now or he listens to on the podcast later, Ethan His ears are there. He is.
I understand.
Okay, so Ethan, yes, that's what I'm getting at. I got you, my man. Worth isn't money. So the one thing I would get is at least that part. Like, I get that, but that $1.3 billion isn't cash in hand. You know, I'm not saying you're wrong, Jim, but just what I'm saying is when it just comes to value, though, I don't really care as much as that. But let's talk revenue. You know, let's talk revenue.
2012, $168 million.
Right.
2007, 2018, 2019. We're now to the point where $265 million. So revenues have doubled.
Mm-hmm. That's the number
doubled.
More focused on.
So if revenues have doubled, why haven't expenses? Where's that money going?
Go Dunning's wallet. Go Dunning's wallet. Hey, paper industry is dying.
Where's the money?
We're keeping Ogden newspapers.
And that's why he's incompetent. Didn't he just buy another paper industry a paper company? So he's an incompetent owner. He's making bad decision deals.
And global warming is destroying Seven Springs. So
he's gonna buy another ski lift.
He'll buy a ski lodge
another
in
ski
Texas.
resort.
It snowed there, so let's buy one there.
Also, I don't want to hear the whole worth isn't money or whatever. If I have $1 million in Amazon stock, right, and $10 for it 20 years ago, guess what? I'm a millionaire.
Yeah, but you got to sell that. So in order for him to spend that money on the payroll, he's got to sell the Pirates, and then he no longer owns the Pirates to spend that payroll. That's the difference. Now, if he owned $10 billion in Amazon,
he gets a bill. We get rid of him.
If he's not going to do that, he's going to give it. I mean, I
know.
I can separate business and baseball itself. Like, I mean, what he's doing with the Pirates and how he's running it, whatever. But like, if he wants to keep the Pirates, who am I to tell him he can't? Who are all these fans to tell him to sell? I mean, it's his business. He can have that business. Who the hell am I to say sell the team?
I could separate business and baseball too, but it's baseball. It's a hobby. I hate that it's run like a business. You run it to an extent like a business.
As Jim said, when it was worth $380 million and now it's $1.3 billion, that's a business, my guy.
I know it is, but at the same time, you got to invest back in it. He's not the owner of Amazon.
That's the difference. Again, I think that's really what it comes down to. Just he doesn't see the investment part.
And I get it. If I was the owner, I'd probably also be like, screw you guys. Give me my cool $100 million a year to sit back and go watch baseball games with a bunch of bad players.
He ain't watching them.
True. Oh, but he was fuming.
It's just upsetting, like knowing that baseball's making more money now than they ever have. And like that's a fact.
Pirates are spending less.
Right? And the Pirates payroll is sitting at, I mean, if Ethan's listening here, he can correct me, but it's probably right around $50 million. I haven't checked the spreadsheet out in a few days here, but we're probably looking at a $50 million payroll. And the Pirates are making more money now than they ever have before.
I'm okay with a $50 million payroll as long as it gets up to about 150 whenever we're ready to roll.
I know Jim's going to come in on this one. I know you're coming in hot to that comment. What I'll say before you do is I see both sides. But my big thing is, if you're going to have a $50 million payroll right now, we know you're bringing in more money. To air quotes, it's financial flexibility stuff we talk about. Right. You better use that to invest when you're ready to win again, to go exactly right back around to the early Bob Nutting quotes, right? He talks about when we're ready to win, we're going to do things right. That's got to be part of it. You got to invest into the team.
And the other thing too is you can use that financial flexibility as an asset, right? Like you can go out there and offer these people who are signing 1-year deals, offer them a lot of money, offer them a 1-year deal worth a lot of money, just let them play and then trade them. And then boom, you just acquired talent into your organization. So like there's more than one way to rebuild. Yeah. Like there's more than one way to rebuild a team. And having extra money is a way to do that, because there are teams out there who, they're maybe pushing the salary, the luxury tax, right, cap. They don't want to go over that, and so you can take on something and get something. So it's you can use money when you're not good and still acquire talent that way. Like, so this whole thing about like, why spend money just to spend money?
Good.
You can spend money just to spend money and then use those players you spend money on to acquire talent.
I wish you could trade that draft picks.
Honestly,
you can, yeah. I mean, you can trade the sandwich picks, right? So like the competitive balance picks you can trade now. But I don't know how that would work, like trading draft picks.
I feel like some teams gonna go all
cool.
in, like the Marlins or the Padres back in the day, right? Like they're gonna go all in, like trade all the draft picks. Team's gonna be terrible. Now they have no draft picks. Like it just goes into bankruptcy.
I could see I don't know. I could see a team like the Marlins like acquiring like 9 first-round picks one year.
But that'd be after they traded 9 draft picks the year before to get that one World Series, and then trade them all away.
Marlins have been very efficient in the postseason. That's for sure.
Damn good.
That's all I have to say about
Boston. So is that enough about Nutty?
Yeah.
Damn, we went a while on that one. Just look at the time. It's already 10 o'clock. Okay, so I guess we will get into our NL over and unders. And we'll make this quick. We're not going to go all dragged out. It's not going to be like last week. Even though that was kind of short, we'll keep this rather swift here. So what we are going to do is we have the over and unders. These come from DK Sports Book. That is DraftKings Sports Book. So we have the NL over and unders. We'll start with the NL West. The Dodgers are leading the way at 102.5 games. That's the line. 102.5. Start with Tyler. Over and under.
Howdy. For the Dodgers, 102.5. If I'm a bet man, which I am, I would take the under just because it's so damn hard to win 100 games. And that division's gotten better. So I would lean under. I think they still win it, but probably 95 is a better ballpark.
All right. Jim?
I'm going over. I actually don't think the division's gotten better. I think one team has gotten better, but there are 3 teams in that division who are not good, and the top 2 teams are just going to beat the hell out of them all. Dodgers over.
So I'm actually going to go under as well, but I do agree with Jim. Like I look at it too. Like I don't look at the whole division. I look at San Diego that did. The Rockies are terrible. The Giants, they're not good, but they're not Rockies bad, But I just feel, which will go to the next one. I just feel like maybe it's me. I don't know. Like this gap between the Dodgers and the Padres is way too far. Just way too far. I'm going to go under, but it's close. I mean, 101 is what I'm giving them. And also, 102.5. And that's aggressive. Not that they can't do it.
That's a lot of wins.
If it was 106.5, I'd go over.
Well, damn.
That's a lot of wins still.
I'm typing that in.
A lot of wins.
The
Dodgers won 109 games in 2019, and they're better now than they were then.
Are they?
Okay.
All right. Whatever you say, Jim. Okay, Tyler. San Diego, Slam Diego, is at 94.5 wins.
I think I got to go under on it. 94.5. I think Pacoda has them at like 96. I still got to go under on him, I think. Probably more. They'll be very, very close to that. I would guess, but I'll go slightly under.
Jim,
I'm over.
if I put San Diego at 111 wins, would you also go over?
No, I wouldn't.
You have no balls, Jim.
No, I think they're over 94.5 though.
It's a lot of wins.
It is.
You know, it is a lot, but I'm going the over 2, and it's simply for the fact that it's, to me, like, this is very top heavy. And
Yeah.
I just think, like, I think the gap between the Dodgers and San Diego to me is just much closer. You know, I'm going to go over at 101 and 96, 97. Book it.
I don't know if they'll go over 100, but I mean, I do think that they will be in the high 90s.
And yeah, never mind. I'm not going to say it regardless. Okay. So Arizona, 74.5 wins. So much of a drop off. 20 games. Tyler.
See, I went under with the top 2. Arizona blows. You know what? Let's just keep going under. We're going under with them too.
So everyone in this division sucks.
So far.
And no one in this division is going to win.
It's just that 102 wins is a lot.
I mean, if everyone's under these, wins got to
Someone's gonna
come
beat
somewhere.
Let
Everyone
me work
can't have
here.
60 wins.
Hey, the Dodgers could end up with 101.
I got
and
you.
I win.
I got you. All right. So he takes the under on Arizona. Jim?
I'm going to take the over on Arizona.
Jim's a big
So
over
Tyler's taking the unders and you're taking the overs on everyone.
I'm not taking the overs on everyone, but I think that number is too low.
All right.
I have taken the over on everybody so far.
Yeah. That's the same. Tyler's done the under. You've done the over. So everyone in this division is either losing or winning in our eyes here. I am taking the under here. Look, these next 3 teams are pretty bad, but there's already issues. I mean, Zach Gallen, hairline fracture, out there taking batting practice. Greg Brown is pissed. The argument for the DH is out there in his way again because Zach Gallen was with a bat, hairline fracture. No, I'm going to take the under here, and I'll tell you maybe a little why in a second. So San Francisco, 75.5
Hold on.
games.
How long is Gallen out for?
I don't think there's any like timeline. I didn't really see much. I think they're like in the assessment situation right now.
Okay. Because if he's out for a long time, that might change my answer.
Oh, well, then I'm not looking it up.
Okay.
Never mind. I was going to be nice to look it up, but now I don't want
All right. I'm going to stick with over.
to. All right. San Francisco, Tyler.
We got him at 75.5.
75.5. No, wait. My bad.
You have him at 75.5.
Yeah. They should have went first. My bad.
Okay. I'm actually going to go over with them. They did announce Gosman as their opening day starter, and that guy sucks, but getting Buster Posey back, they still got some dudes there. They could win 78 games. Someone in this team has to go over for me.
There's no chance they go over 75.5.
Okay. I'll talk to me in September.
Well,
So I'm putting Jim down as the under.
You said the Diamondbacks are going to win more games than them, basically?
Yeah.
Diamondbacks blow.
so do the Giants.
Yeah, but at least they got some dudes.
So do the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks' best player is better than the Giants' best player.
Who, Madison Bumgarner?
No, Ketel Marte.
All right. Well, Jim's there for the under. I'm with Tyler actually on this one. I'm taking the over, and that's what I was gonna say. I'll tell you later on about the Arizona thing. I'm taking them for under just because I like San Francisco a bit more. They're not good. I understand. Like, this team isn't good. This team is another team where like they just should have rebuilt a lot sooner than they did. But one thing that I respect a bit of them, the rebuild still isn't like great, but they're doing a lot more to like what Jim's saying. They're signing guys. Like the old vets that are getting overlooked right now that nobody wants because they're too old. Like San Francisco's signing up for like 1-year deals. Like they're getting these players in there. So like they're going to be bad in this, like not Pirates and Rockies bad. They're going to be bad in the sense that they're not winning. But to me, they're going to have a product on the field that fans will at least come and watch. And they'll be respectable. And they'll beat up on the Rockies like everyone else. And and I'm going to go the over. Not by much. They're not like a winning type team, but maybe they get 77 wins, 78. I'm cool with that.
Also, Alex Dickerson's going to hit 15 homers.
Obviously.
The guy rakes.
Okay.
And are we all doing the same on the Rockies here? I can't
so
name more than
next
two
is the
players.
Rockies at 63.5.
Oh.
Tyler.
That's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but I can't name more than 2 players on that team. Story and Blackman.
That's it.
That's it.
So I'm guessing the under.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hammer that under.
Hammer it.
I think if the Rockies were if they were in any other division, it would be an easy over. But I think just playing 40 games against the Dodgers and the Padres is going to take its toll. I guess I got to go under. Not by a lot, though. That's a lot of losses.
I mean, you are correct. That's a lot of losses. But this Rockies franchise, I mean, honestly, we just went off on Nutting. And this isn't so much of an ownership, like spending money type thing, but we just went off on Nutting. We had that little segment there. But if you want to talk about competency, within an organization, this Rockies, like this team, this organization is just terrible right now. And we just witnessed their entire analytics team leave them this year. I don't know, like over these past few years, what they've been doing. And this year, I mean, yeah, they got rid of Arenado. They have Story. I can only assume Story's probably going to get traded at some point. Why would you hang on to him? Maybe not. I don't know. But regardless, like this team's just bad. I think like the only thing they have going for them is it's Colorado and it's Denver and it's weird. And they'll have some games where, some minor leaguer comes up and hits like 3 home runs that game. And like they win it because it's Denver. But I'm still taking the under. They're bad. I'm really nervous. Like they're gonna have the number 1 pick next year, and it's not gonna be the Pirates. I'm
Very
almost
possible.
like I would put money on it that the Rockies have the number 1 pick and not the Pirates.
I'm with you.
Or at least they're closer to the number 1 pick than the Pirates. The Rockies have a worse record next year than the Pirates do. Book it. Book it.
I don't disagree.
Well, then I guess we know what you're doing on the Pirates over under.
How do you know?
You just said
Colorado got 48 wins, and the Pirates get 53. I'm giving the Rockies 48 wins, man. No, I ain't booking that. Let's move on to the Central. Okay, so we're going to start off with St. Louis. They're being crowned at 86.5 wins. Tyler.
They're the Cardinals. Something will happen and go their way. They're going to go over. Matt Carpenter's going to drink from the fountain of youth, and Yachty will too, and some random dude you never heard of and plays shortstop will come up and hit 25 bombs. He's 27-year-old quad A player. So yeah, over.
Jim, 86.5.
Ugh. Under. I just don't think they're that good.
There's a man who
Nobody
else
else
fears.
Like, I just don't think they're that good. Like, I mean,
they never are that good.
Their pitching staff just does not impress me at all. I think, adding Arenado is nice, but the rest are, they're old. Dylan Carlson will be exciting to watch, but other than that, like, this team's not that good.
And I'm right with Jim. Like, so on the chat, Tyler says, over, Tyler's right with the Cardinal magic. I mean, it's a thing, and I totally believe in it because, I don't believe in magic. I've doubted it for years, but it just comes back. There's going to be some dude that you've never heard of, and he's going to hit 300 for the Cardinals and have 20 home runs this year. But I just totally, I agree with Jim too. Like, this division is very, very bad. The Cardinals are winning it by default. It's not because they're that good. It's just because everyone else is that much worse. The Arenado trade, I respect it. Their corners are really legit. Like, you got Goldschmidt, you got Arenado. I do like Arenado. I respect Arenado. I've backed up and said he's a good player, but I do worry and wonder right now, like, what he's going to do outside of course. But outside of them two corners that we just mentioned, like, who is on this team? Like, Tyler said he couldn't name 2 Rockies, right? Like, name me 5 Cardinals right now.
When can you ever name 5 Cardinals and they still
you
win
could,
90
you
games?
could. I mean, they had fun. They had some good years and stuff, but like right now, they're just very old. They're very boring. They're not that.
They're
good.
always old and boring.
I mean, they weren't old and boring 10 years ago when they were young and exciting.
Like, who the hell had ever heard of Tommy Pham before he came up? And whoever that shortstop was that came up,
heard of him recently.
Who heard of Matt Carpenter? What's he do? He comes up and rakes.
Right. I get it, but like once they're here and they're raking, they're doing it. You've heard of them now. But the thing is, now who are these guys?
Just wait.
They're either still there and over the hill, or
and Max Moroff's going to come up and rake.
Tyler O'Neill, maybe. I don't know. I'm taking the under, though. I don't know if I said it. I didn't write it down. Okay, so Milwaukee is next. 82.5 wins. Tyler's up.
I think that team actually stinks. I'm going under.
I think this team's better than the Cardinals. I'm going over.
I think they suck.
The pitching staff's good. The bullpen's got shutdown arms. The offense is fine. I mean, I think they're
fine.
They're probably the most well-rounded team in the division. I'm gonna say Brewers over.
I'm going. No, I can't. I can't even do it. I'm going the under. I get what Jim's saying, and I agree with that. I'm taking the under on St. Louis as well. I don't know if they're better than the Cardinals right now. I still give the Cardinals the edge on that. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee wins this division. I'll put it that way. It's not going to be a shocker if they do. They have the potential to, but I'm still taking the under. This division sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah, it does.
So it's the under for me. There might be one team that's over 500.
It's possible.
Which leaves Cincinnati next, also at 82.5 wins with Milwaukee. Tyler took the under on Milwaukee, so are you saying the Reds are going to be better?
No, I think the Reds stink too. I'm going under on them too. This division is just bad.
Up until, who was it? Up until the Cubs make a signing. It was like in February, right? Like this division spent $3.5 million on free agents.
Yeah, like there was nobody.
And it's not like this division was good last year or even really the year before.
It's a shame that the Pirates aren't better now.
Oh, man.
Because now's the time to be good. 3 years good. It just happened to be when everyone else was legit.
So where you at, Jim? I didn't hear your answer.
I haven't said an answer yet. The Reds are your NL Central champs. They're the over.
Oh.
Why?
Spoken like a guy who lives right outside of Cincinnati.
And there's a deep drive by Castellanos.
Jim's like, I don't know if we'll be on the North Shore 9 after this again.
So their pitching staff probably has, Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo could probably be the best 1-2 in the division. Adding Sean Doolittle to the bullpen is going to be nice, to go along with Garrett. I just like their lineup. Like, I think their defense is going to be weird. I don't know what they're going to do yet, but
they have 5 third basemen.
But it sounds like Moustakas is going to go back to third. Suarez has lost 20 pounds, is going to go back to short.
I think Jonathan India's back from 2013 with the Tigers back.
I think Jonathan India is going to be their second baseman, and I think the dude rakes. I think Nick Senzel finally finds a home in center field, and I don't know. I'm really high on Nick Senzel.
Yes, you are really high.
I don't think he's shown what he can do just yet. I don't know. I think this is a good team, and they're built for their ballpark. They're going to mash homers. Yeah, I think they win 80. I think they win 85 games and win the division.
And for me, I'm taking the under as well because I don't agree with all that. Now, mind you, Castillo and Sonny Gray could be the best 1-2 in this division. Also, tells me nothing because name me a 1-2 in this division that's good after Chad Cole and whoever our number 2 pitcher ends up being. So I get that point. But also, you talk about Doolittle, it's okay, great. But they also gained Doolittle at the expense of trading away Iglesias.
Yeah.
And I don't understand this team. Defensively, they have to be terrible. There's not one person on that team that plays in position, except for the catcher, I feel. And Joey Votto, who's also 97 years old. And
basically right.
So
but he still has a 400 OBP.
For me. And even with India, I'm not so sold on him. I know he's having a great spring, but in the minors, he's been okay. He's been okay. As a second baseman, that skill set translates better than third. So, okay, offensively, maybe a bit of a plus, but now he's playing second base, with freaking a third baseman as a shortstop there. 2 third basemen are your middle infield now. We thought the Pirates defense was bad over these years. Now you have 2 third basemen who really weren't that good third basemen playing second and short. And a guy in center field who also isn't a center fielder. So I don't know. This team's too weird for me, which if it works in their favor, then credit for them for being weird. And that'll be fun for Cincinnati to watch, I guess. But I'm taking the under. Which now brings up the big bad Cubs. The cheap Cubs. They're broke. Tyler, 78.5 wins.
I think this is the second best team in the division. I still like their lineup, and their pitching staff would be great if it was 6 years ago.
Yeah, I would say if it was 2015.
But the lineup's still potent. Maybe they catch some lightning in a bottle with their pitching staff. Probably not. But everyone else sucks too, so they might hit enough. As long as the team doesn't revolt against David Ross.
Okay. And Jim?
Under. I think this team's garbage. I mean, they're terrible. The pitching staff is old and shitty. Like Jake Arrieta is he's awful. He's so bad, and they signed him, and I don't know why. Trevor Williams, I'm sorry, like he's cool and all, he's great, but
He sucks.
not that good, right? Alec Mills is probably one of their best pitchers, and the dude's a 30-year-old rookie.
I like Zach Davies.
Zach Davies, I don't even know how he is still alive because he's like 130 pounds. But
That's why Tyler likes him.
Yeah, but
relate.
like he's actually pretty good.
Craig Kimbrell is going to blow like 45 saves. It seems not good. Like, I mean, Anthony Rizzo's not who he was anymore. Chris Bryant's not who he was anymore. I don't know what. I mean, Jock Peterson, you can hit home runs, but that's literally all he can do. I don't think they're bad. I think they're bad. Under.
Yeah. This one's hard for me because I think like both of you are really right on a lot of stuff. Chris Bryant, I'm really worried on. And also too, like, is Chris Bryant going to be a Cub at the end of the year? I don't know. Maybe if Chris Bryant isn't a Cub, maybe it even helps Chicago in a sense. I know Anthony Rizzo, he's solid. Like Contreras back there, he's solid. I'm expecting a bounce back from the second best I'll not forget, Migo? Whatever. That bum that plays short for them. Adding a Jock Peterson there. This team,
Baez?
yeah. The L, his nickname, L. It's Eric Gonzalez's nickname too.
I don't watch Cubs
I think it's
games.
El
They're annoying.
Migo. Anyways, regardless, so there's pieces on this team that they could be good, but it's the same pieces that's shown that they're pretty bad over the past few years. I'm going to hedge my bets on this and take the over because also this division just is bad. It's garbage. It's terrible. And I think Chicago have one. And I think there's still enough pieces there that they could do it. There's basically going to be St. Louis at like 83 wins, and then like the next three teams will have like tie for 79.
Like, you guys are acting like they've been terrible. They haven't been terrible.
I'm not saying they have.
Jim is.
But they have regressed. And
yeah, from 102
now pieces are moving off.
World Series, yeah.
I mean, losing Lester probably might help them, but they also lost Darvish. They did gain Zach Davies, but he's not Darvish.
And I could hit a dinger off their
Kimbrel is just, man, like Jim said, he might blow 45 this year. They've regressed, but there's still good pieces on the team too. Playing in correct positions. All right,
I feel like losing Lester and Darvish is going to hurt.
But Zach Davies and Trevor Williams.
Right. Don't forget about the guy I can put in the river, Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, Kyle Hendricks.
Listen, I didn't say a bad word about Kyle Hendricks.
You didn't say a good one either. Jim stayed mum on Hendricks. All right, let's move off from the Cubs. Now we'll get to the Pirates here. 58.5 wins. We're talking 104, 103 losses. Tyler, 58.5 for the Buccos.
I'm going over. Losing that many games is hard. Like, you should at least expect to show up and win a third of your games. So I'm just going over. Brian Hayes will win them a few. They'll scrap out a few, and the division's bad. Go over. Not by much. They'll win 62 maybe, but
I can talk to that. Jimbo.
I don't know if I need to remind you guys, but last year, the Pirates won 19 games. And they only played games against the really shitty Central teams.
The worst two divisions in all of baseball together. Right.
That's a 51 win pace. Okay.
Sure.
And they got worse. You're not going to convince me the Pirates got better this year than last year. The pitching staff, I don't know if people realize just how much of an absolute disaster the pitching staff is going to be this year. Like, just an absolute disaster.
After
the
Chad
like, and I'm serious, like, this pitching staff is going to be terrible. They will not win whatever this number is. I didn't even look at it because it's 58.5, way under. They're losing 110 games this year. They may win 6 games after the trade deadline.
Jim is a hater.
Like, I don't know where this optimism's coming from. Like, did you not watch last year?
What is optimistic about saying they'll win more than 58 games?
We're so optimistic by saying they're only losing 100.
Yeah,
not 104.
That's what I'm saying. Like, did you watch last year? Like, and just how much
I tried not to. No, not really.
Was? like, and I'm serious. Like, this team got worse. They didn't get better. They literally signed
the whole season now.
They signed 2 people to major league deals. One's like a 7th starter, and the other one's like a 7th outfielder.
Signed Todd Frazier.
This team sucks. They're terrible.
So let me sum up our entire offseason podcasts into a minute here. So you're saying that they got worse and they were bad. They were bad. They were absolutely bad. But here's how they got better. We've already talked about they're going to have a better WAR than Josh Bell in Washington. So first base improved from last year. Kevin Newman's not batting 200, whatever. Actually, Kevin Newman's batting 400 this year. Book it, right? Adam Frazier's looking better. They have a whole season of Brian Hayes, right? Like, this team, it's not as if they went out and got free agents to get better. They're really just going to get better because all those guys last year weren't that bad. Like, they weren't as bad as they performed. Yes, they won 19 games that were terrible, but also they're like historically terrible. You know, like, those numbers over a full season won't add up to be the same. But I'm not here to preach that they're going to be a 500 team. Like, all I'm saying is, Jim, is they're not going to win just 58.5. We're not here hyping up this team as if it's good. We just said the Colorado Rockies are terrible, and they're at 63.5. So the Pirates can also be terrible and win 5 more games. I am smashing the over on this as well. Again, I am severely worried because what we should be doing now is worrying that the Pirates don't get the number 1 overall pick. I am worried that the Rockies take the number 1 overall pick next year. The Pirates win more than 58.5. It's the over.
I have no worries.
And because Chad Cole is a good pitcher.
I don't know who you got to throw. You got to find people to throw 1,458 innings this year. I just don't know how they're going to be able to do that effectively.
That's every team. How are the Cardinals going to do that?
Not having
Adam Wainwright's thrown 103,000 innings so far in his career.
I just like how Jim was acting like we were trumping up the Pirates when we said they might win 60 games.
I know, right? You would swear we just said they're winning the division.
The crazy optimism you guys have.
We are confirming that they are the worst team in this division.
Honestly, like, what it is,
you guys are way too optimistic.
Right. You guys are just,
you guys are ridiculous.
Obviously.
They might get the 2nd overall pick. Whoa, calm down.
You guys think they're just the 2nd worst team in the NL? That's ridiculous.
Not in the NL, probably in the entire Major League Baseball.
Right. This team should be regulated.
Relegated.
Whatever. I don't watch soccer.
Oh, man.
Regulators. Mount up. All right. NL East. Atlanta is taking the cake right now with 91.5 wins. Tyler.
They got Charlie Morton over.
Because of
Also, their lineup's pretty legit. They're just freaking good. Now Jim's is gonna say under.
91.5. I'm gonna go over. I like the Braves. I like the Braves this year.
That's ridiculous, Jim. They're not that good, Jim. That was your piece. You like them? That's it. You're done.
Yeah, I like them.
All right.
I think they've got a really, really good offense. I'm excited to actually I like watching them play. They're a fun team to watch. Their outfield should be really good this year. Ozuna, Acuna, having Pache back there in center field. Swanson's been like a whole new player. Ozzy Albies, I think, is one of the most underrated players in the game. Freeman just won an MVP.
Still Freeman.
I think this is a good team, and they've got Ian Anderson, who's going to be competing for NL Rookie of the Year. So,
yeah, I can agree to that, Jim. I do like this team. I think they're very complete. And right, like you mentioned, that defense. I mean, they might not have the best pitching staff right there, right? Pache's gonna just eat up some balls and help that staff out. So I like this team. I think this one is like the complete opposite of the NL Central, where everyone is just terrible in the NL Central. I feel like every team in this one is good. Now, of course, some better than others, but it's probably the most complete division. Like even Miami, and I guess we'll get to them soon, I feel can be respectable, you know? But yeah, I'm going with the over as well. Obviously not 102 type wins for them, but I think it's because also like there's going to be a lot of teams beating up on each other in this division. So New York Mets, 90.5, one less game. Tyler, over or under for the Mets?
I'm going under on the Mets. I like Lindor. He's a great player. He's not that good that this team's suddenly a 90-win team. I'm under on him.
yeah, this is confusing because I think on paper, like you look at the Mets and they look pretty good on paper. But like the Mets are going to have some sort of Mets thing happen to them where Pete Alonso is going to get like, I don't know, he's going to get like bit by a fox or something on a hunting trip during the All-Star break and not be able to play the second half of the year, something crazy like that.
What did it say though?
But yeah, I'm going to go under. Just something's going to happen to the Mets and they're going to go under.
So this is almost like the opposite of the Devil Magic by the Cardinals, right?
Yeah.
Like where the Cardinals are set at 86.5, it'll be better because of that. The Mets is like the opposite, right? They're set at 90.5. You look at them on paper and you say, no, they're better than that. But you just know something's going to happen. And like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I've been bitten by the Mets since we started this over and unders with Ryan. I've picked the over every single year because I said, no, Ryan, this is the year. Well, I'm not falling for it again. So I'm taking the under, which probably means they're going to win more and win the division. But I'm taking the under just for that reason. Yeah, on paper, I believe this team is better than 90.5 wins too. You got Syndergaard coming back as well. You already got DeGrom. Like that pitching staff is really, really good. That lineup is really good. Like this could be a really, really good team. But something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. They're where our owner won't spend money, theirs is going to get like in jail because of the stock market or something. And like the whole team's going to come down crashing. Anyways, the Washington Nationals, 84.5 wins. Tyler?
They won't be able to play a lick of defense, but I'm going over. Still love the pitching staff. And the bats are still there, and they still got Juan Soto.
That's all I need to hear.
And that total's low.
Yeah,
I would flip them in the Mets.
I don't love the Nationals, but I do like them a little bit more than this win total. So obviously Soto's just unreal. If Trey Turner's healthy for a whole season, he's one of the best shortstops in baseball. I like Luis Garcia too at second base. Their pitching staff still has Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin. That's really good. I mean, that's pretty solid right there. I'm a little confused why this is so low. I'm going to go over as well.
The Washington Nationals have Juan Soto. Therefore, I take the over. But to be real, this is like the epitome to me of like the stars and scrubs, like your fantasy roster, like the teams that go for like stars and scrubs, it's the Washington Nationals. Like they have like really, really good players. Like all their good players are really, really good. And then like all their bad players are like really, really bad. There's no like solid role player. It's like they spent all their money, on like the first 4 rounds in your draft, and then you're just sitting back like for an hour drinking some beers, and you re-enter because now you have guys that you can spend money on again, like all the dollar guys. That's like this team here. So, but the thing is, like you can get by on those stars, and like you said, that pitching staff is really, really good, and pitching matters, and they can get them through some games. And 84.5 wins, like that's very modest. Are we talking like the Washington Nationals are as good as like the Milwaukee Brewers and the Cincinnati Reds? No. So I'm taking the over as well.
What's I mean, just real quick, I know we've been on here for a while, but what's the story on Carter Kieboom? Like, is he having a decent spring? I haven't even heard much of him lately.
Couldn't tell you.
If I tell you, will that change your over and under?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just a key guy to this team. I mean, he's like, he was their top prospect who just hasn't really found it yet at the major league level. And I think if he can click, then you're looking at a lot more complete team.
Tyler, you are up on Philly. And while you're doing that, I'm looking at Kieboom's numbers.
What do we have them at? 80.5?
Yeah, that would help. So the Phillies are at 80.5.
See, this one's tough because they're a team that you look down the list, they have the star power, but none of them are really that good. Like they don't have a Juan Soto. They have Bryce Harper, who everyone thinks is Juan Soto, but he's not. But I like Joe Girardi. I'm gonna go over, but I don't. They might be an 82, 83 win team.
Jim, you're up. But by the way, just so you do know, Carter Kieboom. Oh, sorry.
I just saw.
Okay. Well, for the fans, looks like he's waiting to know, he's batting 158.
Doing pretty awful. Yeah, it looks bad. So I'm like right with Tyler on Philadelphia, I think. Like I actually kind of like their team. They've got some good pieces here. Nola Wheeler should be pretty good. 1-2. If Spencer Howard is in there too, I'd like him also. I mean, he kind of reminds me of like Mitch Keller, just overall his stuff and all that. I think the issue with the Phillies is just kind of like the Mets, right? The bullpen. They did get Archie Bradley, which helps out a little bit. I'm gonna say over. I think they're over 500. I don't know if they're as good as these top 3 teams in the division though. But I think they're over 500.
This is one of those teams, I'm like perplexed on too, because they've always seemed much like the Mets, like on paper, not that they've been like great. Like I've never looked at them and said World Series bound, but on paper, they've looked good enough, and like every year they've underperformed for some various reasons. They didn't do a whole lot this year, but like I just feel like they have to be better than 8.5 wins. Like there's too much talent on that team to really be under 500 in my mind. I'm going with the over on them also. I don't think by much. Like, this isn't like this extremely talented team. It's a very tough division, as mentioned. I mean, I could easily see them going under just because, but like, to me, there's just too much talent in this team that they can't do that. And look for the Kutch breakout. We were saying breakout.
Kutch breakout. I'm here for that.
Yeah. Like he's Gregory Polanco or something. But he's back. Kutch is back. Tyler, Miami Marlins wrap the show up, wrap the NL East up, 71.5 wins.
I want to say over because they're really not that bad of a team, like to be in the 60s. But if we have 4 teams over 500 in this division, they got to beat up on someone. So I'm going to go under with them.
Yeah, again, I don't think they're that bad. And I also don't think the division, I get that like we've got 4 teams over 500, but I think the Braves are the only team that is over 90. So I don't think this number for the Marlins is really out of the question. I'm going to say over on the Marlins, 71.5.
I'm right with you guys. Like, I want to say over 2, which is, it makes me feel weird because for me, at least, also, Tyler had 2 unders. Jim and I only had 2 unders in this division. And it's like, well, someone's got to lose, right? But it's just like the Marlins, like they're not 72 win bad. This is a team that's, I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs like they did last year in that weird year, right? But it's an up and coming team. There's some talent there. And, I do like some of their pitching staff. I like some of the prospects probably make it up to the pitching staff this year as well. And I mean, I think they could easily like sneak in and have like 75 wins this year.
Yeah, but if they're going to have if we have 4 teams over 80, I got to have one of them get beat up on. Sorry, Marlins.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I get that.
Well,
they'll be able to beat up on the Central, though.
Tyler, like you took the under on the Mets. I did too. Like the Mets, they're going to have 78 wins this year. So that's how it happens.
Fair.
Okay. Stroman gets injured. No, Stroman like finds a way to opt out again. DeGrom gets injured. Sondergrad gets traded.
Stroman opts out.
Anyways, so that wraps up our over and unders. We'll have that on the website here soon. Yes, Bucko Mike, Sixto a legit ace. I do like Sixto Sanchez. So there you have it. So I guess anything else you guys want to add to the show before we leave?
Nope.
I can't believe you guys are so optimistic about the Pirates.
I'm telling you, man, like they're going to have the best 61 win season ever. Book it. It's going to be great.
Flying my banner now.
If Brian Hayes is having a 5-4 season, Jim, they can't win 60 games. I mean, if a replacement level team is what, 53 wins?
I just don't know if you're prepared mentally
to embrace the suck
for how bad this pitching staff's going to be. It's going to be so bad.
I'm here to tell you just how below average it will be, Jim.
All right.
Had enough to win to lose 2/3 of their games.
I mean, that's kind of hilarious. We're here arguing that the Pirates going to win 60, and Jim's just like all in our faces. You guys are disgusting.
Oh man. I don't see how the team even sniffs 60.
That's so bad. Oh God. All right. now that I'm depressed, let's get on out of here. We'll see you guys again next week. As mentioned, the 51 win Pirates will be present in Chicago at 2:20 on Thursday. Baseball's back, baby. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
See you guys.